Well, good evening, boys and girls. Guess what? It's story time for Brian. Yeah, story time for Brian. Yeah, story time with Brian. Yay. So, and fun. Today's episode is brought to you by Cool Clear Water. Remember to drink cool, clear, clean water for all of your hydration needs. And also, it's brought to you by the letter H. H is for happy because, I don't know, we ran out of funding and didn't have any more money to put tags there. Anyway, so hello, children of all ages, boys and girls. Gather round, gather round. Come close. You can hear Uncle Brian tell this fantastical story of hope, perseverance, and doing things you think you can't do. It's an uplifting one. Gather around, get close. So snuggle up to that laptop, pull that cell phone just a little closer, and listen to the warm sounds I'm about to share you. This particular story takes us back a few years ago. It is the middle of a longer story, which I may share in a later date, but right now we're going to share just this one. I was living in the outskirts of the city of Denver, Colorado, and I happened to be working at the time at a facility that helped take care of and habilitate, maybe to a degree, quadriplegic and paraplegic patients, men and women, young and old. And I saw quite a bit there, as you can imagine. And in that, I learned so much from these individuals. I remember being there not even a week, and there were trainers, there was personal trainers that helped them with mobility and strength training, etc. There was chiropractor, a few acupuncturists, and a few massage therapists. I was one of the massage therapists, as well as faculty and staff, right, doing the back end and operational stuff. So I am going to tell you about a wonderful man named Willie. Oh, actually, let me get back first. The first week I was there, I was talking with one of the trainers, and I walked up to him and he goes, "How you doing, Brian?" I said, "You know what? I'm great." I said, this place has shifted me. Like, how do you come in this place and have a bad day? I mean, really." He goes, "Tell you what, Brian," he goes, "the fact that we have functional use of our bowel and bladder, we're already ahead of 90% of the patients here. On top of that, we can move whenever we want. We can walk around without aid or assistance, right?" So in that moment, I was humbled. I had a big fat splash of humble pie, and I'm like, holy cow, I have so much to be grateful for just in my bodily functions. Thank you. Lesson number one. So anyway, I'm going to tell you about a dear story of a man named Willie. Willie was this amazing, charismatic man, always had a smile on his face, always had a story to tell and a joke to share. Sometimes those jokes were a little dirty, so boys and girls, I can't share the jokes he used to share, but he always had a smile on his face. And he was there, and people would gather around him. "Willie, what's your joke for the day, Willie?" And Willie would sit in the limelight and share his jokes. He was such an amazing man, touched me in so many ways. Well, one day, this man, Willie, gave me a gift that I'll never forget. Historically, when I worked on Willie, to get him from his chair, by the way, all Willie could move practically was his right arm that would navigate. Not even that. His right arm only hit a few buttons. He navigated his chair by moving his chair. There was a cup that sat right here, and he would move his head forward, backward, left, right. And this is how he navigated his chair to move, right? This is how he had to move. That's all he really had mobility with his head. Very, very little with his hands because his hands were like pulled in. So he's 200, 250 pounds dead weight, right? He can't help and assist at all. And typically it would take a trainer grabbing him from under his arms, and I would grab his legs and his, pee bag, and we'd lift him onto the table where I would work on him. And at the end of the session, I would have to go scout out a trainer to help reverse that, to get him back into his chair. Well, one particular day, all of the trainers were busy or unavailable, and I had to get Willie back into his chair because I had another client coming in that I needed to see. And he's laying there again. We have a great time sharing stories and jokes and really bonding heart to heart. And he looks at me and goes, Brian, you can move me by yourself. I'm like, Willie, I'm $150 at best, soaking wet. You're 250 dead weight. I can't move you. He goes, Brian. He goes, I used to have this home, this aide that came to my house, this beautiful woman. She was tiny, 90 pounds at best. And she'd take me out of the chair and put me back in. She's like, Brian, if you can do that, if she can do that, you can do that. And I'm like, dude, Willie, I don't know. I'm like, I got previous history of back problems and I'm afraid of hurting myself and dropping you and having a bigger problem with this, Brian. Do you trust me? I said, yeah. He goes, so are you willing to listen and follow my instructions? I said, yeah, it was okay. Pause in the story for dramatic effort and effect. He goes, Brian, what I want you to do, I had to sit him up and hold him while getting his t-shirt back on him. And he goes, what I want you to do is I want you to lean me forward so my head is in your chest. I said, okay. He goes, basically swing him around so his legs are hanging off the edge of the massage table. Put my head into your chest. I said, okay. He goes, now grab the seat of my pants, grab my belt. I'm like, okay. And he goes, pull my knees into your chest so they're here. I said, okay. And I said, now what, Willie? He goes, now you grab my belt line and lean back and you pivot and drop me in my chair. You got to get my chair really close. I'm like, Willie, that's crazy. He goes, Brian, like I said, my 90-pound aide could do it. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. Those 4 words are so powerful. So powerful. So I said, Willie, okay. I mean, what do I have to, okay. He convinced me. So sat him up, dragged him around, pulled his legs off the table, and lifted his knees up, tucked his head in, grabbed his belt line, and I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3. And I leaned back and I just spun on my heels and I dropped him into his chair. And he goes, you did it. I knew you could do it, Brian. I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, practically on the edge of tears right now. I'm like, this man, full quadriplegic individual, just coached me to move him. He believed in me. I didn't believe in me. He believed in me. And we did it. And he showed me what to do after that to get him all nestled in and tucked in with the 3 or 4 belts to keep him in the chair from falling out. Story's not over. Well, that particular day, we roll out and be like, oh, how'd you get in your chair? Well, I'm like, it was magic. He's like, he did it. I'm like, I don't know, it was magic, right? But there's another part to this story. Wasn't the next week. It may have been the next week, maybe the week after. Same thing. Trainers are all busy. It's just him and I. He goes, Brian, you can do it. I'm like, no, I can't. He goes, Willie, yes. He's like, Brian, yes, you can. I'm like, Willie. He's like, Brian, you did it once before and you can do it again. I know you can. I have faith in you. I believe in you. Those words, right? He believed in me. I didn't even believe in me, even if I'd already done it. Our minds have these silly things where we do things, right? But then we try doing it again. We convince ourselves that we can't, even though we already did it once. We already did it once. We already have enough evidence up here to prove that we did it and we can do it again. So I don't know how many times, probably a half dozen times I did that subsequently after that, right? And I just want to say, it's just like, I've been there. I literally had a man coaching me how to do it, and I didn't believe I could do it. And I did it once, and every single time he had to convince me. He's like, Brian, you've already done this a number of times. You can do it again. And why it was so difficult for me to get that. So know this, you are stronger than you imagine. You are more capable than you are powerful. You are so powerful and you can do so much more than you think you can. And having a cheerleader in your corner is so helpful for that. So take that with you for today. Share that. Know that you are capable of doing anything that you want to do. You really are. Whew, what a story. And you know, even as I recall this story to you, I think back, I'm like, wow, I did that. And if you were to ask me right now, I'd be like, I don't know, I can't do it, even though I know I can. The insanity of the mind. All right, loved ones. Thank you for listening to this beautiful, beautiful story. And I hope it inspired you to maybe go do something that you don't think that you can do. And if you do, share it in the comments below. Share what you feel about this story. You know, I'm going to be building more of these stories, and I want to hear feedback. I want to hear how you think about this, what it brought up for you. And as always, you know, I'm going to be putting some videos on the side here of previous episodes. You know, subscribe to my channel, watch previous videos, and just really get involved and share these stories. Please share these stories. All right, dear ones, I love all of you. Thank you for listening. Be well. And remember, you got this. You got this. I believe in you, and you can do anything you want. Just remember that. You're more powerful than you believe. Be well.